like a window, no window, look at the videos, say yourself that could have been you.
Because they're like, Sanya On-Air. And everybody on the East Coast calls me Don. I'm like, what is Don?
My mom thought I was on Long Island, but I was at Howard Homecoming. Turn it up.
Let's go. Welcome, everyone. You are now tuned into another amazing edition of Sanya On-Air. I'm your host, Sanya Hudson Payne. And how do I start off each and every single show? You guessed it. I have another great show for you. Coming up in just a few short moments, I have the super amazing, talented, and handsome actor and producer, Anthony Dalton II. Now, most of the time when I ring off these names of actors and musicians and all of these celebrities, sometimes you don't even know them by their birth names, but you know them by the characters they play on television. So let me just say, Anthony Dalton II stars as Calvin on the hit Tyler Perry series that is all over BET, Sistas. He plays Calvin. I'll pause for a moment. Because if you are tuned into BET's Sistas every single week, then you know that the character Calvin has sparked so many controversial conversations. I mean, it really sparked a conversation amongst women about the intersection of race and masculinity. So I'm going to be joined by Anthony Dalton II in just a few short moments because we really just want to talk about that. I really want you to understand the man behind the character, because oftentimes we look at television shows, we listen to lyrics. Speaking of lyrics, by the way, people are getting indicted just because of lyrics. People really think that the art is real life. Oftentimes it is, but oftentimes it isn't. So I really want you to unpack the individual, the man behind the character of Calvin. Let me tell you, I'm really excited about this conversation because, like I said, it sparked conversations amongst women, me included, myself and my girlfriends, my female friends. We really just talked about, is that gay or not? Let me tell you something. I'm a little nervous. I wouldn't say a little, I'm very nervous about this conversation because when you talk about the LGBTQ plus community, darling, they are like the federale, the militia, the KGB, the FBI. The old lady in the hood is always with her head out the window talking about, where you going? You can't say a word. You can't do anything. So I just really want us to have a conversation. I may get things wrong, okay? But this is what this conversation is about. This is what adulting is about. Just really creating a space to have these uncomfortable conversations and to figure it out because I don't have all of the answers. So one of the things that the character Calvin did in the hit series Sistas on BET, he wears thongs. Now, how many ladies out there would be comfortable if you are just, you fix a nice dinner, you lit the candles, you got some Isley Brothers playing in the background, sharing our love between the sheets. And then you get down to the get down and you start to undress him. You unbutton his shirt. Can I get some music playing in the background? You undress button by button his shirt. You unbuckle his belt buckle. You zip down his pants. And he's wearing thongs. I know I would probably have a problem with that. I was going to say, would I have a problem or would I be a little taken aback? Both. And I can really attribute it to my upbringing. Everything that we learned. I'm at this age now. Shout out to all the Leos. It is July and the whole month of July is Leo season. I give no credit to the Cancers because Cancers are wasting the month of July and their little bit of month of June crying. They're emotional. You know they're emotional. And then here comes a Leo right after, like, wipe those tears and get it together. So shout out to all of the Leos out there. What was I talking about? I get so sidetracked. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Back to my upbringing, you know, so I'm at this age now where I'm really unpacking all of the things that I thought to be true. And I'm like, that ain't it. That was definitely, you know how you was taught, well, I was as a kid, that lie, saying the word lie was blasphemous. Well, in this case, that's a lie. Some of the things that I grew up believing, it was a lie. So yes, it was blasphemous. Okay. So I definitely would have I would have a little concern also. And I know that a man's G-spot is, you know, in his anal cavity. But I would feel a certain way also if my man was down with having anal sex. Let's have a conversation here. Post your comments, please. Ladies, how would you feel if your man was okay with having anal sex? After this show, I'm going to call my male friends. I already know what they're going to say, because they still one toe in the hood. Not all of them, though. I've elevated a little bit, you know, elevated my friendship circle. But I think for the most part, lines have definitely been blurred. It is 2022, and lines are definitely blurred. Definitions are changing. Definitions are being removed. New definitions are being added. And I just really want to know. Like, for example, I remember there was a point in time when I had to ask a man if I went on a date. Well, when I went on a date, and I would ask, are you in a relationship? Now I have to ask, are you in a relationship with a man or a woman? Do you like anal sex? Do you wear thongs? Do you frequent gay clubs? I go to gay clubs. That right there. But for a man, that means he has to be very, very strong in his sexuality, because I can't have a double standard and say, oh, when a woman goes to let's say I go to female strip clubs. I don't really like the male strip clubs. Now, I love me some men. Don't get me wrong. But I just don't want your doggone sweaty balls dang-a-langing in my face while I'm sipping my champagne or my Hennessy. Yeah, you don't sip champagne in the strip club. You got to get down and dirty. You got to get you some Hennessy. And for those of you who eat meat, Hennessy and chicken wings. I just don't want sweaty balls dang-a-langing in my face. It's just not a mood for me. Like, I just want balls swinging in my face when the time is right, when the Isley Brothers are playing. You know what I'm saying? That type of vibe. You know, not when I'm trying to get crunk in the club. You can get crunk in the. You can't get crunk in the club with balls dang-a-langing in your face. It's just distracting. It's very distracting. Because no matter how much you clean, you can't tell me that you've been dancing for an hour, even let's say 15 minutes on, you know, just a real trap song, and them balls ain't sweaty. And then here you go in my face, shaking it a little bit harder because you want my dollars. It's sweaty. No, ma'am. No, sir. It ain't for me. So, like I said, lines are blurred. Lines are very, very blurred. So for a man, he's heterosexual too. He's married, by the way, but you didn't know that. So for a heterosexual man to play a gay man and his character resonates. I mean, everyone's watching, sisters. I just want to see how that has impacted his personal life. I also just want to talk about the timeline, his journey, the trajectory, where he started, where he is, and where he's going. So we're going to be talking about all of those things and a lot more. Okay, so we do have a few quick commercial breaks. So stay tuned. And we'll be right back with Sanya On-Air. Why do I always have to be so damn dramatic? Because that's what Leos do. Just hold on just one quick moment, because I got to tell you all to subscribe. Okay? Pause for the cause and subscribe to Sanya On-Air. Sanya On-Air streams across every single major platform: YouTube, iHeartRadio, Alexa, Pandora, iTunes, Google Podcast, Amazon Music. You name it, Sanya On-Air is there. So there's no excuse why you aren't subscribing, liking, leaving a comment, and sharing it to your entire community. I always encourage, share to your enemies too. Share to because they just stay mad, so just give them more reason to be madder. I'm petty. I'm petty. Petty LaBelle. Sometimes. I'm trying to do better though. I'm praying. I done burned my sage yesterday. All over this body. Lord Jesus, is the things going on. I'm just trying to get to more positive energy. Okay, so pray for your girl, because I'm praying for everyone else. So back to the show, because you should have subscribed by now, right? Okay. Order groceries for delivery or pick up today using the special Sanya On-Air link. It's easy to shop. Select items from your favorite grocery store at instacart.com or in the app. Personal shoppers pick up your items with care. You can even chat with them as they shop and manage your order. Pick a convenient time for you and voila! Have your groceries delivered the same day. 100% quality on every order. You can also pay with EBT Snap on Instacart and select retailers and get free grocery delivery or pickup on your first 3 orders of $35 or more EBT orders. Offer ends May 30th, 2022. This ad contains affiliate links and I will be compensated if you make a purchase clicking on my link. Like me, that means you're always on the lookout for a great restaurant or a brand that produces quality goods. Well, look no further, darlings, because I have the brand for you. Kaivan Foods. If you're a foodie like me, that means you're always on the lookout for a great restaurant or a brand that produces quality goods. Well, look no further, because I have the brand just for you, and they're Black owned. Kaivan Foods, sweet barbecue sauce, sweet potato barbecue sauce. But there's one product that I fell in love with, and I just had to drop this in my bag because I wanted to have hot sauce in my bag swag. It is their original hot sauce. It's spicy, like fireworks going off in my mouth. This hot sauce, this one right here, oh, it's going to go everywhere with me. I loved it.
Hey.
Hi, Anthony. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Let me tell you something. You just made my day. You really made my day, because it is such a pleasure for me and a blessing when I'm able to watch amazing talent like you on television, and then to have a conversation. You really made my day. And for that, I truly say thank you.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
Oh, no problem. So we're just going to jump right into it. When I was researching and preparing for this conversation, I was just once again enamored to know that both of us come from the arts. Now, I remember when I tapped into the arts, and I just wanted to kind of go back to the beginning. Did you decide that you wanted to be part of the arts? Did the arts choose you, or did you choose it?
Wow, that's a good question. Looking back on it now, I feel like I was always an artist in some way, shape, or form, but never took it seriously until I went to college. I was like a class clown growing up. I would do imitations, and I just loved to make my mom laugh and my family. And when I got to college, I did my first play, and I was hooked. I'm like, oh, this is what I am now. Because at first I thought anybody in the inner city, you think athletics is going to be your ticket, to make money, provide for your family. But it turned out that acting was going to be my path.
I get that. See, it was the opposite for me. I remember tapping into the arts when I was in the 3rd grade, and the arts actually chose me. I had a music teacher, love her. We still keep in touch to this very day. And she approached me as a 3rd grader and she said, I'm starting an acting class. Would you like to join? And it evolved into acting classes, dance classes, musical theater, all the way up into college. So I would say that the arts chose me, and I fully accepted the assignment. So yeah.
I guess it's the same. I guess the arts chose me, but didn't tell me my time was that. It was like, okay, you're an artist, but I'm gonna put these jewels or these people around you to let you know this is what you are. Because otherwise, if that wouldn't happen, I'd still, 40-something-year-old still trying to play basketball, football. Like, oh, athletics are gonna get me out, But so, I honestly believe God knew that, I was an artist, and he put me in positions and put me around people that nurtured that gift that I didn't even know that I had inside.
Wow. I'm always just listening to words and trying to see what resonates. And what you just said, it truly resonated, making sure that you have the right people around you, because, God is already going to, order your steps in your life, but you have to have the right people around you so that you can walk into whatever God has purpose for you. So I'm glad that you mentioned, your strong faith. People won't mention that because in this world of celebrity and entertainment, sometimes that's often taboo. To mention that. But what's the biggest lesson that the arts has taught you?
Oh man, that you don't have to be perfect. Art isn't perfect. Art is interpretive. We can look at a painting and see, 100 people will look at a painting and have 100 different opinions on it. And that's the beautiful thing about it. That's the beautiful thing about people. We're all individuals, and everyone's not going to like you for a number of reasons. And that's not up to you. You just tell your truth, do what you do. And whoever rocks with it. You're going to resonate with somebody. So, yeah.
Got it. So in college, you decided to pursue theater, right? And then at some point in time, you decided to act on television. Talk about that transition, why you decided to evolve from theater to television.
Well, quick story. When I went to college later. I went to college when I was 22, just because I wasn't mentally prepared to go to college right out of high school. So I had jobs, and I had jobs that I really hated. And I said, I don't know what I want to do, but I know what I never want to do again. So I went to college. My major was communications at first, and the classes were just very boring. And when I was younger, I used to model, and everybody was like, you should try acting. And I'm like, yeah, all right. So I took a couple of classes in theater, and I really enjoyed them. And I made that my minor. And so, because I had a guaranteed job, if I'd have graduated with a degree in communication, I had a guaranteed job with like the Houston Texans working in their PR department. But I kept going to those communication classes, and I was like, this is boring. But every time I would go to my like movement classes and voice and diction classes, it freed me to be, unlock something in myself. And so with that, I was like, okay, I like this. And I did my first play. I did August Wilson's Fences. And I was hooked. And then I was like, well, I want to do television, but I went to school at the University of Akron in Ohio. It's not a big TV thing. So everything in me was like, okay, if you're going to do this, learn where the art came from. Don't just, and a lot of actors, if you notice, the actors that are on TV and film that do Broadway,
Mm-hmm.
9 times out of 10, they have theater background,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and the ones who don't never really touch it. They never touch theater because it's scary. You don't have a number of takes. You don't have an editor to make your performance look amazing. It's right there in your face, and it's exciting. And that's what I love about theater. And it's a shame that theater doesn't pay like television and film. But I always wanted to share my talent with the world. Not to be a star or anything, but just put my talent on display for the world to see. In the theater, you get a couple of good runs. It's just the people that show up to the play. They don't tape it. They don't, do anything like that. So when you're on television, the world can see you.
Yeah.
And also the world can have a bunch of different opinions, just like at a play, but it's just more on I would say global scale.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I wanted.
That. As I was thinking of, this conversation, I was just like, well, why did he leave theater to television? And you answered it. And I kind of answered it in my head too, as I was preparing for this, because television is more accessible. It allows the world on a more global scale to see your talent. Broadway and theater, only a few are there. People are really looking at the stage. No one's videoing with their
right.
So you're absolutely right, because I think if you had stayed in theater, we wouldn't have known Anthony Dalton II and grown to love him as Calvin on Sistas. I mean, we are really in love with their character. We're going to talk about that soon, but I just want to share a quick story with you too, because what theater gave me was courage. And like I said, I was introduced to theater in the 3rd grade. Everything is a moment for me. Everything is a scene. I remember in the 4th grade, the same teacher who approached me to be a part of her ensemble, in the midst of a play, it wasn't going right. And I remember jumping off of the stage and said, I don't need this in my life. And out of the auditorium. That set the stage for Sanya On-Air.
Wow. Wow.
It gives you a personality that a lot of people don't tap into, but theater, we are very dramatic.
Yeah, and I'm a Cancer, so yeah. I mean,
I was just talking about Cancers at the onset of this show. Cancers are very emotional. I'm a Leo. Are you?
All right, podcast over. Let me. How do I get off of this?
Emotional. When was your birthday?
July 1st.
Really? Oh, wow. I'm July 31st.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Look at that. See, we were supposed to meet today.
I know. Happy early birthday.
Yes. What did you do for your birthday? Oh,
man. I had some friends, went to Miami, chartered a yacht, had a couple of my friends. I had 2 of my castmates, Trinity Whiteside, who plays Preston, and Kevin Walton, who plays Aaron on the show. They came, my publicist, my brother-in-law and his wife, and just had a good time, just enjoying life. And that's something that I haven't done in the past 2 years. So I was like, start walking in your purpose, know where you are. Because God could have given anyone these gifts. He could have given anyone this show, this platform, and he chose you. So you better walk in it, because in this day and age, people are dropping left and right.
Oh yeah.
And you don't know when your days are numbered. Only the man upstairs knows. So I was like, yo, you know what? I'm gonna walk in it and I'm gonna celebrate. I just my son, he actually just turned a year on July 6th.
Another
yeah. Oh yeah. That's what we do around here. We breed cancer.
So that's your only child, is your son, right? 1 year old.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this is definitely the beginning and the end, because you have a 1 year old. My daughter is 27.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
hold on, you have a 27-year-old?
I sure do, because good black don't crack.
I know that's right. Okay, I was like, you have a 27-year-old?
Yes, 27 years old. She's the one who keeps me young, inspired, vibrant. So it gets better, trust me. But
That's
my hat
good.
goes off to you because I don't put strollers, I don't babysit, I don't burp anybody, kids.
Hey, I actually, and shout out to my wife. She's been a trooper, also working a full-time job and, maintaining our house. With me, I'm working on other stuff and traveling and doing stuff like that. And she's managed to do it and with such grace, it's a blessing to have her.
Because that's just women. That's what we do. We rise to the occasion. So you got a good one, keep her. Keep her.
Absolutely, definitely.
I want to go back to something that you said before we get to your character of Calvin, because we see you on television and most people don't understand that things go on behind the scenes. But yet still we see showing up, but we don't know what's going on. The past 2 years of your life has been a journey. Within 2 years, you lost your father, you lost your mother, and you also battled COVID. Now, I just want to talk about how do you deal with trauma, because just a little personal testimony too. It has also been a year since my mother was murdered in a New York City hospital. And every day I had to show up. No one knew what was going on. I would be in tears, put ice on my eyes, counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and smile for the camera. How are you right now? How are you doing?
I'm actually better. The last 2 years, it's just been like okay.
A little bit. What did you say?
Okay. We were closing on our house. I was expecting the birth of my son. My mother was sick and still and I still had to work. When my father passed, he passed actually on the same day my son on my son's birthday.
Wow.
So yeah. So 2 years ago or my son's birthday, my father passed. But then I had to go back and shoot. I think we were shooting season 2 of Sistas, and we were in quarantine on the base. That was when the pandemic, really started. And it's just like my mind and everything was just on, I want to say like cruise control. Like I really didn't have time to grieve. My wife was pregnant. So I didn't want to stress her out, even though she knew probably something was going on with me. And even with my mom, because that was like my best friend. And so when she passed, I was just really in a very dark spot, almost contemplating like, do I even want to be here anymore? But I would say maybe a month ago, like, I don't know what came over to me. I think it was God or something. And I just looked in the mirror and something took over me and said, I love you. And I just started bawling because I haven't, when you have a family, especially as a Black man in this world, it seems like the world doesn't care. Right. You still, and we're like you just said about women taking on, that's what you all do, especially Black women.
Yeah.
It's like you all do so much and have so much on your shoulders, and so do we as Black men. But as a provider and a husband, a father, which I take great pride in, even more than I do my career, it was like you can't show weakness because you have people that depend on you. And so with that, it was just kept weighing on me. And, when that, I guess, that message came to me that said, I love you, it was like God or my mom and my dad. And, they were like, look, we got you. You're good. You are blessed. Start living, you have a son, start living for him, with death comes rebirth, i.e. my father passed on my son's birthday. So I still have my parents in this little man's form. Right. And so that's why when I went to Miami, I was like, you know what? Enjoy your life. enjoy what you've accomplished. And I'm not saying that to be content, because I feel like I've only scratched the surface.
Yeah.
But also, stop doubting yourself. Stop, there used to be times where I'm like, I would book something and I would work hard on it. And I'm like, did they make a mistake? Did they, and I realized that's the devil talking to you, oh, you're not worthy of this. This was a fluke. Oh, maybe they wanted somebody else and they dropped out. And so you were next in line, like all this craziness.
Right.
But it's like, no, God chose you to be, coming from where I come from. They don't just make actors and entertainers. You can't just pull them off the tree.
Right.
So for me, it was just that testimony saying, look, you're good.
Yeah.
You're good now. And that's what I'm starting to do. And I also would like hide my blessings. Like, I didn't want to be braggadocious. I didn't want to, because my thing is, I don't want to make other people feel bad who aren't in my position.
Yeah.
But that was also self-sabotaging to me, because it's almost like a slap in the face to God, saying that, I'm giving you all of this, and it's not braggadocious for you to say and appreciate where your blessings come from, but walk in it. Yeah. You have to walk in it. There's a certain, and you're gonna make people are always gonna have an opinion of you. You can be the nicest person in the world, and they're still gonna say something.
Yeah.
So let them talk, but you know who you are. The people that love you know who you are, and just, enjoy life. So I'm actually doing a whole lot better than I was.
Good. I've learned to stay, I'm bent but not broken. When people would ask how I was doing, and I think that really summed it up. Most people, when they're going through trauma, they don't know how to unpack it or navigate through it. And I just wanted to ask them, like, what tools or resources do you have? And you named it, your faith. You rely heavily upon your faith. So for those who are tuning in, whatever tools or resources that you need to unpack your trauma, make sure that you put something in place, because if you don't unpack your trauma, take your time with it, it is going to explode or implode in some capacity. So for me, it is a daily journey. Every single night, I don't care what time I get in, I go for a reflection walk and I talk to God. And I listen. I even take my 27-year-old daughter with me, because I want to create good faith for her as well. We just talk to God on some nights, or we just listen to God on some nights. But once again, I'm glad that you mentioned your faith. So now let's talk about Calvin.
Let's talk about it.
How were you introduced to this amazing role of Calvin on BET's Sistas?
Well, I auditioned. I had a show with Tyler previous called The Pains. It was a spinoff of House of Pain. And I was only supposed to be in like 6 episodes. And I had read for a bunch of Tyler's stuff for years and never really booked. I mean, I did a play called Laugh to Keep from Crying that got put on DVD. And then I had a whole gap thinking, I was going to get something else, and nothing happened. Then I got a small part in a Single Moms Club with Tyler. They got cut out of the movie. But then I auditioned for the role of Terrence on The Pains, and I did 6 episodes. And on the last day of my arc, he called me and was like, I like what you've been doing. I'm going to make you a series regular. And so fast forward, the show didn't get picked back up. And he said, I might have something for you, but no promises. And I was like, okay. So I read for the role of Calvin. I went to the callback. And when I tell you every working Black actor was at that callback, because they were reading for the Oval and Sistas. So multiple people were reading for different roles on different shows. So everybody, you meet these actors and be like, oh, you want to run lines or whatever? And you're like, oh, what are you reading for? Well, I'm reading for the president on the Oval, and I'm reading for Zach on Sistas, and I'm reading for this, that, and they got like 6 different opportunities. They like, who are you reading for? I'm like, I'm just reading for Calvin. And so I'm like, man, I'm seeing like these phenomenal actors that I've watched through the years. I'm like, wow, I gotta bring it. And so I auditioned, or I went to the callback and did my thing. And shout out to Brian Jordan Jr. I think I went in one time and I you know how you over prepare, and I over prepared and I stressed myself out, and I think I dropped a line in my audition. So what happened was they told me to stay for a little bit. And I was like, well, you done messed this audition up. Oh man, yeah, it's a wrap. You'll never work in Tyler Perry business again. And so they brought in Brian Jordan Jr. and they did pretty much a chemistry read with both of us. And Brian, who plays Maurice.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah. And we just vibed. And you know, once you hear Tyler laugh, like that's that's the stamp right there. So the cast got assembled, and Tyler always says the cast always, the perfect cast always comes together. He never stresses off of, you know, casting. He's like, it always comes together. And clearly throughout all his shows and things, it's proven true. So that's pretty much how I got Calvin.
So a few things that you said. So you said there were so many well-known actors who were in the audition room. Mm-hmm. But what I noticed about the casting on the Oval and also on Sistas is it's people that we probably would never really know who they are. And I'm glad that Tyler Perry is giving chances to up and coming talent, because he's seeing, you know, the purpose and the talent that you all have. But speaking of those who he's hired on the set of Sistas, the chemistry is so evident on screen. How is it off camera?
We're family. I wish I could have invited all the cast for my birthday. But you know, everybody's doing their own thing now. Everybody's working on other projects. Some people are getting married. Some people, you know, having kids, whatever. And you know, we hit it off. Like the pandemic kind of slowed us down, meaning there's so many restrictions now that when we film. Because it used to be like we would eat lunch in the dressing room, if somebody's dressing room, and just eat lunch and just, you know, really vibe. And we're really a family. Like the girls, those are like my sisters. The fellas, those are my brothers. And we would just, you know, even guest stars that came in, we would just want to make them feel as home as possible. When the pandemic hit, it was like mask up, hand sanitizer. We don't even have hand sanitizer. It's just like 100% alcohol, like pumps around the studio. And so it was kind of, we couldn't just hug each other like we once did. And so with that, it kind of threw a wrench in some things, but it's the love is still there. We are family. I tell them all the time, like we're family for life.
You can tell. Tell. But you mentioned that you only had your eyes set on one role. That was the role of Calvin. Thinking back on it, do you wish that you would have auditioned for another role?
No.
No.
Calvin helped me get out of my comfort zone. Yeah, the role of Calvin definitely helped me get out of my comfort zone, because I was playing a lot of characters that were just, I love every character that I play, but a lot of them, with the exception of maybe 2 or 3, were very surface. Mm-hmm. Very, you know, I want to say, I used to call him the take your shirt off dude. Like, you know, it's like you don't really care what he's saying. It's just like, oh, he's going to have a shower scene. He's going to have a love scene. He's going to get the girl. He's going to this, that, and the other. You know, and those are cool. But as you grow, as you get older as an artist, you have other experiences. Yeah. And, you know, just like I'm anxious now to play a father now, because I am a father, a husband now, because I am a husband, and bring some of my life experiences to the role. With Calvin, I didn't know this character existed. Not until we premiered, because I'm from the Midwest. I'm from Indiana, and I live in Atlanta now. But in Indiana, it's very taboo to talk. Well, it was to talk about these kind of conversations. Like everything, if you did something that was questionable, the labels came. And it's like that here in Atlanta. It's like that around the world now. But now Atlanta's more open to certain things.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, the one character that people forget on this show is the city of Atlanta. Because a lot of people, if you're from Iowa, this character, you can't even fathom this character. You can't even fathom a character like Maurice, maybe.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's just you're not privy to it. You don't go outside and see it every day. Or if they do, it's really hush hush. But in Atlanta, it's a character in itself.
Yeah.
So like with Calvin, he is this force that I had never experienced. But when we premiered, I had a lot of guys like DM me like, thank you so much, because I am Calvin. I live a lifestyle that a lot of people throw labels on me because I don't dress the certain way. I'm not a gay man. I've never been with a man. I've never desired to be with a man, but this is who I am. And it's so refreshing to see a character like this on TV. So I was like, wow. And it went from playing a part to now you are a messenger.
Yes.
Because what we are as artists, we give a voice to the voiceless. And so that's a huge responsibility, and one that I don't take lightly, playing this character. So I definitely wouldn't change being, anyone. And I think everybody who the cast that received the roles that they did, it was perfect. It was perfect for them, and they're doing an amazing job. So hats off to all my castmates.
Got it. But acting is definitely the voice of the voiceless. And we know when a character is successful because it sparks conversation, no matter how controversial it may be. And you mentioned that, there were some men who were sparking conversation with you, sliding in DMs, asking questions. It also did that on the female side. I sat down over dinner with a group of my friends and talked about, child, maybe our pH balance is about to change again because new definitions surfaced. We started talking about, so if a man wears a thong, that doesn't mean that he's gay. If he likes anal sex, it doesn't mean that he's gay. But for women, it meant we now have to ask men these questions because we need to know how we can proceed or how can we not proceed. So overall, what has been the public's response been to you? Like, have they been questioning you? Like, are you homosexual? What has your life been like?
It's so funny that God gives you like pieces throughout your life, even when you don't even realize, like he's preparing you for things. My mother was a big soap opera fan, and any nice looking, this was before social media. So there was only like tabloids and like, the Inquirer and stuff like that.
Right.
And so, so like there used to be like celebrities that would, if you were successful, if you were nice looking, if you were this, it would always spark like a rumor about, if someone caught you hugging your friend, I knew it, blah, blah, blah. I've heard everything. So it doesn't affect me as much as, because people like mess. Like they just do. And it's a testament to my work. Because if you really think, and I've had a conversation with people about us as Black people in society, because when it comes to sexuality and artists, that's where people get questioned on their personal. But you've never seen someone question Wesley Snipes for playing Nino Brown, and he's a drug dealer. You never say, oh, he looked like he really runs the Carter. Like, no. Or you never see someone like Amari Hardwick. Oh, that's really Ghost. He's really a killer. He's really this. But when it comes to sexuality, and if you play your role well, that's when the questions start.
Yeah.
And I've learned that that's just a testament to my acting.
Yeah.
Because if you're not supposed to see Anthony Dalton. You're not. That's my job. You're not supposed to. And then the thing is too, people have a lot to say about it. But if I didn't play this character, you wouldn't have anything to talk about. Right. If I was just, the guy who's just I'd be boring.
Right.
You know, so every time Tyler writes something that's kind of like, now Anthony could be like, oh man, if that was me, but I have to remember, it's not you. They're not tuning in to see you. Mm-hmm. That's what social media is for, to get to know you as a person. Right. But when you're playing Calvin, they want to see Calvin. Mm-hmm. And the I don't want to say it's not a problem, but trying to make it relatable, bringing some of your personal stuff into, and I've always gone back to, we've all been judged.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing with Calvin. He just wants to live his life. He's not hurting anybody. We've all been in love. We've all been crazy in love. We've all been, it's like, I tease my wife. She's not a big fried chicken fan. But I'll be like, you don't like fried chicken? Man, you ain't black. Like, I'll mess with her. But, everybody's going to have something to say. So I don't really get bothered of it. I know who I am as a person. I know, I live with me 365, 24 hours a day. And those who may think something else, enjoy. Let them think that. That's fine, because you chose to follow me. You chose to watch me on TV. I don't know. I used to tell my mom, she used to be on Facebook when she got Facebook. Oh my God. Like, everybody, people would say something slick and she'd be like, start typing. And I'm like, Mom, why are you responding to these people? She's like, no, that's you. You're my baby. And blah, blah. I was like, and I'd have like, I don't know how many thousands of followers on Facebook. I'm like, Mom, when have you ever seen thousands of people at the house? I don't know these people. Right. They're and that's the good thing. You're supposed to have an opinion. Right. If I'm not doing my job, then that means I'm not interesting enough for you to talk about. So continue to talk and get us to season 10, 12, 13, 14. I don't care. Pay for my son's college tuition. I don't care. Keep talking.
I love it. But not only, just talking about sexuality, it also bolstered a conversation of masculinity. I think in 2022 that masculinity can be defined.
That's a good question. Can it be defined?
And I'm sure that you're going to give him values, which means that masculinity has some sort of definition. Can it be defined?
I think a lot of people have a I think we pick and choose. I really believe we pick and choose, because let's take, for example, we don't believe, right now there's a thing where we don't really believe in gender roles, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, oh, I can do anything. I can do this, I can do that, and rightfully so. Mm-hmm. But if let's just say me and my wife were just dating, we're not husband and wife, and we go out to dinner, and I expect her to pick up the tab. Mm-hmm. She's going to look at me in a different light. Like, that's not what a man would do. Or even if we go Dutch, that's not what a man would do. Or for another example, if I'm not protecting her, like, what I'm saying, somebody says something to her and I don't come to her defense, or I'm just like trying to talk it out, that could be looked at as, oh, you're not manly, you're not this. But also too, let's take it to Calvin. Calvin's bills are paid. Calvin is educated. Calvin is, well groomed. But when it comes to certain things, oh, that's not masculine. That's not this. It's like if your husband takes care of the house, does everything, quote unquote, what a man would do, but he may like anal sex or he may wear a certain type of underwear. Does that not make him a man?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like I said, we pick and choose what, and it'll never be set in stone what masculinity and femininity is. It's like, it's one of those topics to where I tell people, do you, like, there's a lot of these conversations about if a man makes you pay half the rent or half the bills, he ain't a man. And if you want to be a woman, just say so, sis. And all these, you know what I'm saying? These things. And it's like, what works for one couple or somebody may not work for you. There's a lot of people, women who would love a Calvin, but there's also some people who would be like, nah, I can't do it, sis. Yeah. I just can't. And that's fine. Right. My thing is, I don't think you should criticize somebody for what they like. It's like how I live my life. I can't put that on you. You should do this because, I'm God-fearing. You should be. And it's like, no, what works for you works for you. And what works for the other person works for them. So it's a very,
Got it.
Yeah.
But for you specifically, since you're raising a son, let's just talk about when he gets older and he goes out on dates, who should pay the bill? Will you teach him that a man, when he takes a woman out, that he should pick up the bill?
I'm going to tell him to run out the door. No, I'm just playing. No, absolutely. My mother had she used to, like, when I first moved here, I didn't really date. I moved here for a reason. I didn't date. I live in Atlanta. I didn't go to strip clubs. I was like, and this is home of the strip club. I didn't do anything. If I wasn't in an acting class, if I wasn't auditioning, trying to find an agent, all these things. And my mother had a thing. She was like, no romance without finance.
Okay.
And it's not it's not saying that, you're less than if you can't do something. Mm-hmm. But I'm also a firm belief of it's okay for you not to come to the party right now. Right. It's okay. There's women. Let me tell you, my wife, she'll tell you, I didn't really pursue her. She wanted a relationship with me, and we've known each other since 2011. But for me, I wasn't in a position to be in a relationship. And she was like, she didn't care. She had her own house. She drove a Mercedes. And I'm like, I got a dream. And that's it. Like, I'm barely paying for gas and groceries. Like, but she just, she was like, I don't care about that. But I was like, no, as a man, no, I'm not in that position to do. I never want to feel like a woman is doing anything for me that I cannot do for myself. Mm-hmm. And so we dated off and on, but we didn't become official till some real, this dream started to, bear fruit. Mm-hmm. And so for me, yes, I will tell my son, like, look, no romance without finance, because it's only so many cute little dates you can go on before. And women just mature faster than us. Like y'all always have the job first that you all have. You get the house first, you get the car, and you're just smarter and mature than we are. And that's good. But just know, but never let somebody speed up your process. Yeah. That's what I'll tell my son. If you're not in the position, it's okay for you not to come to the party. Soon you will get an invite. Yeah. If you, put in the work, you will get an invite to come to those parties, meaning that you'll be in a position and you'll have a sense of pride about I take great pride in providing for my family. My parents were divorced, and I saw my mom do it. We live with my mother and my grandparents, but I saw my mom bear a lot by herself. And I'm like, man, you know, at first I was like, man, I don't want my mama to date. Nobody's good enough for my mama. But then as I got older, I'm like, man, she's putting a lot on her shoulders. And I'm like, nah, if she just had that help. And even though my parents aren't here anymore, and my mother especially, the best way I can, you know, honor her is to provide an amazing life for my wife and child, you know. So yeah, I'll definitely tell him to fit the bill. Now, if it's your first date and she talking about going to blah 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 on the first one, I'm like, hey brother, you know, you might have to tell her to look. We can do that, but listen, you know, this Chick-fil-A, you 18. This Chick-fil-A hits just as much as STK. So let's just, you know, let's just pump our brakes a little bit.
Stand in your truth, you know, while you're dating. Prioritize. Don't take away from your purpose and your passion. Remember your goals. You know, if love is meant to be, love will evolve and grow with you. And we definitely see that between Calvin and Sabrina's character played by Novi Brown. So right now in this season, Sabrina, played by Novi Brown, she's kind of put you on pause because she's just trying to figure things out. What's going to happen between Calvin and Sabrina? Are they going to get back together? Like, we need a little teaser.
Oh, you trying to get me put off the show? You trying to have me break my confidentiality agreement?
You want to see them get back together?
You know what? As much as people online, they're like, "Oh, I'm so sick of this. I'm so tired of it." But that is relationships. We don't know what we want. We don't. Like, we have an idea, but then when we get it, it's like, that's not, we want to, and I tell people this all the time, men and women do it. We want to build a spouse. We want to build a man. We want to build a woman. So, you know, I tell jokes about how, you know, some women, they have this list, this scroll of, and it starts when you're a little girl. It's like, you know, because you haven't really lived yet. So you have everything. He has to be, it's the craziest list. You have to be between the height of 6 foot and 7'12". You have to have a beard. You have to have abs. You have to make $1 million an hour. You have to, you know.
So it has to only be 3 inches long.
Man, it's so much. But as you get older, that list starts to shrink because you start living and you start. It's not saying that you what do you call it? You limit yourself. You know, you limit your expectations. But it's just like you realize that person may not exist. All those things and faithful and this and all these things. And it's like, you know, and men do it too. We want a woman who can cook, clean, look like a supermodel, be a freak in the bed, and also be a church girl out in the streets. And it's like, it's so crazy. So like, that's what relationships are. And it's like, we've all had that person that, you know, we like, but maybe our friends are like giving us little advice here and there that we not, man, if I was you. But the question is, or the thing is you're not me. So the big thing is, I think the people are tired of, if you're going to make your own opinions, you know, they're tired of Calvin talking to Maurice about, oh, Sabrina's doing this. And then the girl, people are tired of Sabrina not being able to stand on her own. She's one of those women who give everybody the right advice, but doesn't take it for herself, or doesn't, you know, or listens to everybody, but, you know, doesn't listen to her heart. And now with this new possible love interest bio, it's like, okay, I ask myself this question, do you like him, or is he just something different from all the trauma, or not trauma, but all the bumps in the road that you faced with Calvin? And the fact that this guy's got money, he's a prince, all kinds of stuff. So it's like, do you like him, or is it just something new? Are you the flavor of the month right now? You know? So we got to see. I'm actually, I'm rooting for them,
Good.
but I also understand sometimes absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Mm-hmm.
So if Calvin actually is, says, I'm going to step away, or he gets another love interest, and it's like kids with toys. You could have your child and have a toy, he'll have a toy and he'll get bored with it. You invite another kid over with a play date and he looks at that toy and it's brand new to him. So he's going to want to play with it. When your kid sees him playing with it, it's like, well, now I want it.
Right.
And that's how it's just crazy how relationships work. And that's what makes our show so amazing, because it's so relatable to so many people. And if you're going to, even any character you're going to relate to, you may not relate to, there's a piece of Fatima in some people. There's a piece of Zach. There's a piece of Calvin. There's a piece of Sabrina, Karen, Andy, everybody. So, and also I tell people this, the fans are actually a character of the show. And it also puts a mirror up to a lot of people, because you'll have people who are like, I'm not homophobic. I'm this, that, and the other. And then you see Calvin, and it's like, oh no, girl, he gay. Oh no. Nope, he gay. It's like, he's never been with a guy. No, he gay. I don't believe it. No. It's like, oh, so you're actually, it shows, and everybody wants to be somebody on the show. It's like, oh, I don't want to be Karen. 9 times out of 10, you're probably Karen. You may want to be a Fatima.
Yeah.
But you're probably Karen.
Yeah.
And the truth hurts when that mirror gets put up to you.
Oh, yeah.
So.
It definitely put a mirror up to everyone, including myself. I see myself in every single character, the men and the women. But when it comes to Calvin and Sabrina specifically, what I love about that narrative is it allows love to breathe and to navigate the journey. I myself been in a situationship for, let's say, about 28 years. I had to put it on pause for a point and say, listen, you're evolving into someone different. I'm evolving to someone different. Let's stand in our truth. And love can find its way back. And fortunately, it did. That show confirmed that love can breathe.
Yeah.
And it's meant to be, it'll find its way back. So,
absolutely.
Thank you for that narrative. Have you ever looked at an episode of one of your scenes and said, I wish I would have done that a little bit differently? And what was that?
It's so crazy. I used to not like watching anything I've done. I'm like, oh my God, I would, because it'll never be enough as artists. It's like, I use the analogy of, it's like when you get a haircut and you're cutting your hair and your hairline is cool, but you're like, I can get it just a little bit. Sooner or later, your hairline going to be all the way back here because you're trying to perfect it. And that's one thing I've learned as an artist, that it doesn't have to be perfect, and you have to trust. Acting, especially on television and film, is a collaboration. So you have to, as an artist, you have to trust your director. You have to trust your cinematographer. And when they say they have it, let it go. When they say they have it, because you could be like, oh, let me get another take. And your scene partner will be like, oh, well, let me get another take. It's even though you felt like you killed that scene, they'll be like, well, I don't feel like I did well. So it's just this, that. And then you're running through money. You're burning through time. And it's like, we don't have time. This is a business. So you have to, especially at Tyler Perry Studios, where we shot 22 episodes in 9 days. So we shoot fast. We shoot very fast. So for us, it's like, you got to make a choice, stick to it, and just, if Tyler doesn't like it, he'll tell you. You trust your director. And that's the philosophy that I use on any set. It's like, because I'll look at it and be like, man, I could have. Or sometimes you may not understand what you are. I think Benicio del Toro said this. He was like, sometimes I may not understand the scene thoroughly until I watch it back. And I'm like, dang, I wish I would have made that choice, because now I can see it. I'm on the outside looking in now.
Right. But
And
right. Hindsight is always 2020.
always. You will rack your brain. And that's one of the things now with auditioning now being self-taped. It's like you can do it so many times until you're ready to turn it in. But then it's like you're going back to the haircut thing. It's like, oh, I could do it a little better. And your first take could have been the one that was amazing.
Right.
You know, and that's what I'm at now. I'm like, look, I do it. You're going to like it.
Right.
Or you're not going to like it. It's not going to stop me from auditioning. It's not going to stop me from getting other roles, being cast in other things. You just got to turn it over. And it's in God's hands after that, really.
Got it. So what's next for you? Any other things that you're auditioning for or landed?
I just finished a movie, I think last month, called The One That Got Away. It stars a very talented actress, Chaley Rose and BJ Britt, and myself. It is more of a kind of like a suspense, but you don't realize it's a suspense until probably middle of the movie. It's a real good project. And I just did a project for BET Plus called I Got a Story to Tell. It's a anthology series. Think more of Black Mirror meets Twilight Zone meets, back in the day there was a show called Tales from the Dark Side type thing. So yeah, that'll be coming out. I think that may be coming out in October, and I think The One That Got Away will be coming out in September. Yeah, but right now I'm just we're actually headed to Jamaica next week, so it's a little R&R, a little bit of R&R, and then it's back to the grind. And also I'll be doing some more of Country Wayne skits. So I'm in there now. So yeah, doing some Country Wayne skits, and yeah.
So when are you going to tap into, a dream of yours to play a superhero? Or
oh yeah, man. Look, I mean, I work out, but them, I don't know, man. Them, I just saw like Chris Hemsworth playing Thor. I'm like, hey man, like, come on, brother. Like, I just turned 42. I'm like, hey, it's always been something that I've dreamt of doing. And honestly though, I just really now just want to do good projects that the character speaks to me. The character is challenging. The character forces me to get out of my head and get out of my space, and just really just dive into something that's really well written and a very good character. But whatever happens, happens. Superhero, biopic, it's all going to be, for the greater good of my career and the things that I want to do.
Got it. Well, thank you for this conversation, and for me and my audience really getting to know you a lot better. I want to wrap up this conversation, but there was something else that we have in common. So I just want to close out this conversation with what's not going to open. Here we go. Don't we both like Prince? Do you hear?
Oh man, what do you know about, man? Let me tell you something. Man. You see, I got my purple. Well, it's kind of purple. It's, man. I have never, and I'm from Indiana, so like Michael Jackson is like, and I love Mike.
Yes.
But like Prince was just, man.
Yes.
Like he was just something. Never. Absolutely never. I'm like, I remember when he passed, I was in the gym and I thought that they said that somebody died at the estate, and I was like, oh, it's probably somebody, paparazzi, just trying to take a picture, and when it got confirmed, I was on the treadmill. And I was like, and the TVs were up, and I was like, push stop on the treadmill, walk to the locker room, and I just bawled. And it was crazy, and I've never cried over a celebrity, like passing. Never. And we were together. She was my girlfriend then, but she called me, and she knew, like, are you all right? The only thing she said was, are you all right? I'm like, yeah, I'm cool. Like, I'm cool, because it was just like, yo, he was something like the world has never seen. He went against the system, but didn't do it in like a braggadocious. Right. You could tell he was doing it for himself, and whatever happened from it, maybe other artists would be inspired to know that you don't have to be chained to a label or be a slave, and he walked in his purpose, like, and it's so crazy. And I use actually Prince as, you know, a like kind of like a blueprint for Calvin, you know. Wow. Yeah, like walking what he wears, like how he what he's into. He fully is thinking nothing is wrong, and he still marches to the beat of his own drum. And that was just what Prince was. He marched to the beat of his own drum.
Yeah. So do me a favor, whenever you go on set and you're starting to film for Sistas and you're in the role of Calvin, send me a message. That way I know the message will be,
I'm gonna definitely do that. I'm gonna shoot you a meme. I'm gonna be like, yep, that's man, that's hilarious. Definitely.
Well, Anthony, thank you so much for this conversation. Like I told you, you have really made my day. What you've done as an actor, you understood the assignment. Continued blessings to you, your son, and your wife. You are greatly appreciated by Sanya On-Air. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Take care.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye. So there you have it. Anthony Dalton II. Child, did you see my earring drop in the middle of the interview? Middle of the conversation. It's cool though. But he was an absolute joy to speak with. I didn't even know that a lot of the mannerisms that his character Calvin demonstrates on BET's Sistas, written by Tyler Perry, he's using Prince as his muse. Prince is his favorite artist of all time. I am definitely a Prince fan. So it was just enlightening to hear that. What also resonated with me is, like I said, within 2 years, he has endured so much trauma, but yet and still, he pushes forward. He relies heavily upon his faith. What do you do to unpack your trauma? I am definitely faith-based. Mental health, help, a lot of holistic work. So whatever you need to do to unpack your trauma, make sure that you do so. Make sure that you also walk and face each day with gratitude and with purpose. And also make sure that you subscribe to Sanya On-Air, which streams across just about every streaming platform. iHeartRadio, YouTube, Pandora, Google Podcast, iTunes, Amazon Music, you name it, Sanya On-Air is there. Also make sure that if you're shopping using Instacart, that you use the special Sanya On-Air code. And darlings, make sure that you stay tuned in to Sistas on BET. It is an amazing, amazing story. What I didn't tell you, because I'm just assuming that everyone has been watching Sistas. So Sistas explores the life in relationships, work, love, friendships, everything. The journey of, 4 or 5 African-American women. This series is everything, so you definitely need to lead in. It sparks major conversations. And I love when art understands the assignment. That's what art is supposed to do. You're supposed to look at something that is an artistic expression and walk away wondering, walk away confused, walk away having questions, walk away wanting to spark a conversation. So Anthony Dalton II character as Calvin is definitely doing that. It really made me question a lot of these men out here. It also made me have conversations with women just to see what we're all thinking. Because like I said, darling, for me, I just want my pH balance to be okay. Because there's nothing worse than an unbalanced pH level. Nothing. Man, you have no idea. But ladies, you know what I'm talking about.
Are you ready?
Ladies, I wish you a healthy pH balance and an amazing summer. This has been another edition of Sanya On-Air. Stay true to you. Have an amazing pH balance. And smooches loves. Take care.